Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Tonight we'll bring you the latest on the Emergencies Act inquiry and community stories as part of the launch of Sounds of the Season. But first, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens is responding to backlash after two photos of him were posted on Twitter this week. The images show the mayor posing for photos at a function that included support of Hezbollah and with a public supporter of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Jacob Barker has been looking into this today. Jacob, what do we know about this event?
Well, Kat, the event took place at the Ahlul Bayt Mosque in Windsor in October of 2018. It included a display to honor the mother of a Hezbollah commander who fought against Israel in the 80s, 90s, and 2000 and was killed by a car bomb in Syria in 2008. In the tweet posted just a few days ago by Firas al-Najim, Al-Najim is wearing a scarf emblazoned with the image of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. Al-Najim is known to speak publicly in support of the Iranian regime and against the West. He says that he was with the mayor at the event and translated everything that was being said. We asked him why he posted the picture just now, and he says it was to try and tell a different story about what is happening in Iran right now.
I see there's a big movement happening against Iran, and I see a big movement also happening against the honorable resistance in West Asia, as they call it, Middle East. And I think it was maybe something that can draw attention and show a different picture. I mean, there's got to be some kind of change in the public opinion. I think it's very biased.
Jacob, there's been backlash about this as well, both locally and online. What are people saying?
Well, especially given the recent protests regarding the death of Mahsa Amini, who died in police custody in Iran after being arrested by the so-called morality police there. People were questioning why he would pose with someone who supported the Islamic regime currently in power there. A local Iranian involved in the protest here she told me that she does accept a statement from the mayor at face value. I'll tell you about that statement in just a second. But there were riots in Iran then, as there are now, and that he should do research before supporting any organization.
Jacob, you mentioned a statement. Tell us more about how the mayor is responding.
Well, the mayor told me that the mayor told the CBC he does not have a strong recollection of the event, but if the focus of the event had been to espouse hate or discrimination, he would have left immediately. He also said it would be impossible to know the motivation or views of each individual who asked to have their photo taken. And he said, the dissemination of these images today, more than 4 years later, is clearly meant to foster animosity and discord, and I encourage residents to ignore the attempts to divide our community. One professor of political science told us that it's hard to know what Dilkens would have been thinking of the symbology around him at the event or what the conversation would have been like.
You know, attending these events is quite common, right? There may be things that are outside of your cultural wheelhouse, so to speak, but you still want to engage with your city and the people in it. But the lack of context on social media, can make it quite difficult to interpret, or at least on the other hand, you could say it gives a million different possible interpretations when there's not really the context provided.
Yeah, I also reached out to the Jewish Federation here in Windsor. Its spokesperson says that they have a good relationship with Dilkens and that they take him at his word in this instance.
Thanks for this, Jacob. CBC's Jacob Barker live in studio tonight. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland invoked the starkest view yet about the impact of self-styled freedom convoys on Canada. During her testimony on the second last day of the inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act, Freeland suggested Canada would have looked weak as an ally to Ukraine had the Russian invasion started while Ottawa was still occupied. She also said there were serious economic pressures from the U.S. triggered by the border blockades. CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian has the latest.
I would have preferred not to have had to do this. Like other cabinet ministers, Chrystia Freeland referred to the Emergencies Act as a measure of last resort, but said Ottawa was not all that was on her mind as she contemplated it. Russia was on the brink of invading Ukraine, and she was concerned about Canada looking weak as an ally if the capital's streets were occupied.
NATO troops were put on alert at the end of January, and then I think the U.S. took this extraordinary step of declassifying its intelligence about Russia's plans in early February.
Then there were the conversations about issues closer to home. Days before the act was invoked, this text between Freeland and a staffer at Justin Trudeau's office revealing the Prime Minister had spoken to Joe Biden. The U.S. President reportedly talking about rumored convoys against the Super Bowl and D.C. Commission counsel also relayed something Freeland heard during a meeting with the heads of big banks after one returned from a trip south of the border.
We were being called a quote-unquote joke by people. I had one investor say, "I won't invest another red cent in your banana republic in Canada."
That was a heart-stopping quote for me.
She said she knew some American politicians were eager to implement protectionist policies at any sign of weakness in Canadian supply chains. So much so, one lawyer representing an anti-public health mandate group challenged her.
And I put it to you, Minister, that the government felt that they had to do something about these protests, not because of threats of serious violence, but because your government was completely overwhelmed and you were under a tremendous amount of pressure from the United States.
I absolutely disagree with that.
Tomorrow, the commission is set to hear the last of a long list of witnesses, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau himself. Then begins the wait until February, when it is supposed to report on whether his government was justified in invoking the act. Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Windsor's new acute care hospital could be built 1 year earlier than expected. Infrastructure Ontario says it was supposed to be finished by 2031. Shovels will now go in the ground in 2026 with completion in 2030.
So Stantec Consulting locally is working on those early phase 2 architecture and design issues. We'll have a plan that's submitted to the government in the spring of next year, and that'll set the stage for further work going down the road. Government obviously reviews that submission. The quicker we can get these things moving, and the quicker we can get these plans submitted with the great detail that's involved with them, the sooner that we can all continue down that timeline and move towards the opening of a new state-of-the-art hospital.
Some Windsor residents are waiting to be reunited with their pets. After residents were forced out of their Olette apartment this week, those with pets had to hand them over to the local Humane Society while they stay in an emergency shelter. Their building was deemed unsafe by the city, and it could be 8 months before residents can return. For one pet owner, a reunion with her pup today was a much-needed moment of comfort.
Hi, baby. Yes, Mama. Oh, you're so excited. We live at 1616 Olette Ave, and it's a really bad apartment, as you all know. And we were temporarily evacuated, so, and our pets couldn't go to like the shelter, so they took them to the Humane Society.
The reason for our emergency boarding program is when people are in a crisis situation, they don't want to lose their animal. They want to make sure their animals are cared for, but often have just a lot of issues they're dealing with trying to sort out their own housing or their own situation. And so this is the reason for the program, is to provide that safety net and just give people a little bit of time to be able to keep their animals.
I am so happy for the Humane Society, and I bless them all. They are awesome for taking in my Hercules. I'm sorry. They're wonderful people here. And if you need to adopt, come. Because they got lots.
So how does it feel to know that he's back?
Oh, it feels wonderful. Oh, so, yeah, you kiss Mama. Oh.
Residents of the Olette building forced out of their homes do have rights and steps that they can take. CBC spoke with an advocate about what applications can be filed through the Landlord and Tenant Board.
Landlords in Ontario have a legal obligation to maintain their buildings. And it's quite distressing when I see a situation where a building has gone into such disrepair where it's no longer habitable. Ontarians are well served by the community legal clinic system. So the first thing that they should do is contact their local community legal clinic for help. They can file a T6 or maintenance application against the landlord for failing to maintain the building. By doing so, that's going to give them a level of protection from further potential rent increases down the road. But the T6 would allow them to seek compensation. Another application they could file is a T2, which is an application for against substantial interference with their reasonable enjoyment.
It is time for CBC's Sounds of the Season, our effort to raise funds for local food banks. And the need now is greater than ever. Over the next month, as part of this effort, we'll also be sharing stories with you about people in our community supporting one another. I want to tell you about Streetlight. It's a new community outreach group working to build connections with members of Windsor's homeless community. The goal, help change people's perspective on what it means to be homeless and help those without homes feel less alone. This week, I joined them on a walkabout on a cold and windy morning.
Oh, hey, did you make it through the night? Obviously you did. Were you out here?
Do you like something to eat?
The person inside doesn't feel like chatting, but Bob Cameron and his volunteers leave them some food. The team walks around the downtown core 3 times a week to support and make connections with those without homes.
How do we love our neighbors of no fixed address?
How did Streetlight start?
So we participate in the opioid strategy, WECOS, and as we were working on the safe consumption site, we felt, okay, what's the next response from neighbors and from churches, which we have a background in? What we need to do is spend a year of just understanding stories and walking the streets, beginning to understand who are our neighbors. They have stories, their names are valuable people, down on their luck. And then how can we respond? As the year goes along, what would be a wise response?
Each walkabout starts here at the Downtown Windsor Community Collaborative's office.
Each morning or evening, our teams come together and resupply their backpacks that they carry. And basically, it's everything from hygiene products to a bit of food. We've got a naloxone kit, a first aid kit.
And then they hit the road. Arunita Jekyll heard about it through her church. She's been involved since August. And what has it been like for you?
It's been, good, emotionally good and hard in some ways. Just being aware of it up close. Because, you hear the numbers and the statistics, but until you see it up close, it sometimes doesn't impact you that much.
And how are you liking it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Tell me why.
Because I can do something for other people.
They approach individuals, offer bus tickets, coffee gift cards, snacks.
And requesting permission to have a conversation. If they don't want to, great, leave them as is. It's their, not my call. It's their call.
Cameron says in their work, they lean on the expertise they have through the DWCC's REACT program, a recovery education program. They've also talked to the Downtown Mission, Positive Pathways, and the Health Unit as well. The team stops to chat with Chris LeBoeuf. Chris, you received some help today from Streetlight. I know they came and chatted with you. What was that like?
That was good. I saved me a 45-minute bike ride in the freezing weather, gave me a bus ticket, and some hand warmers.
He's on a wait list with 6,300 other households for affordable housing in this city. That's the number as of the summer. One more stop, Charles Clark Square.
Anybody in there today? You okay? We just got a couple of juice boxes I'll leave on the top for you. Okay, we'll talk to you later.
That wraps up the day. Cameron says doing this work is having an impact.
I think it's given me stories that understand the concepts of trauma and the reasons why folks are making choices that they are, and also as an individual and as neighbors to change the narrative again from one of anger, frustration to more empathetic compassion.
Another story of generosity for you now. American Thanksgiving with a Canadian connection. Roughly 250 Windsorites crossed the border for a Detroit Lions tailgate event today. It's an annual tradition, and aside from all the music, food, and football, the group set out to raise $30,000 for local youth. It's also in honor of Ryan Friesen, who died a few years ago in a motorcycle accident at the age of 18. The CBC's Jason Veal went across the border for all the sights and sounds at the Eastern Market.
Started 20 years ago with 7 of us, evolved to now almost 300 people today.
Sal made these the first year that, after Ryan passed, we did the tailgate in his honor. I was looking at that picture this morning, and it brings joy to my heart. I know he's not here physically, but he is definitely here in spirit.
The atmosphere is truly electrifying and unbelievable. I love to use that word, but everyone feels so good for a few reasons. The last couple of years we couldn't do this, so everyone's back. We're calling it the Revenge Ryan Friesen Tailgate. We arrived here yesterday morning, went to Costco, went to Meijer, got all the gear. So we have a local band from Windsor, Essex. We've got 7 generators, 75-inch TV. We've got 8 propane tanks, 7 big jugs of gasoline. It's quite the process, but it works, and it's a lot of fun. I think it's not only our responsibility, but it's our obligation to invest in our youth. So that's why the Bridge Youth Center and the Kids Breakfast Summer Lunch Program through the United Way are extremely important to the Windsor community.
It's so important. We only receive a certain portion of our dollars through different, ministry level funds. And so 100% these third-party events really do help us continue to look forward. And so when we look forward, we're looking at building a tiny home community. And that's the next step in our strategic endeavors. And so it allows us to remain focused on what's next.
And for more information on how you can get involved with Sounds of the Season, including how to donate, go to cbc.ca/Windsor. A live look at the Ambassador Bridge there. Periods of rain expected this evening and into tomorrow as well. Delia Ashry will be here after the break with more. Stay with us. Goodfellows were out today selling papers to raise money for their annual Christmas food drive. Organizers say the goal this year is a record-breaking $375,000.
We've increased it because we have more people applying for food boxes than we had in the past, new people that haven't been here before. And also the cost of food. Everybody knows the cost of food has gone up.
The 600 volunteers will be out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Windsor, LaSalle, and Tecumseh. Money raised will go to buy food for next year, and the food distribution starts December 11th. Dahlia Ashry is here now for a look at our weather forecast. Dahlia, it's been really mild lately, and I'm enjoying this streak.
That's right, Katerina. I mean, listen, we keep saying, oh, Christmas is around the corner and the holidays, and that usually means colder temperatures. But you know what? We can bask in a little bit of this warmth while it lasts, and we're going to see that trending throughout the weekend. We're also going to see a little bit of rain tonight and Sunday. We get a little break in between, which we'll get to in a bit. So there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Usually the normal high this time of year is 5 degrees. Today we're sitting well above that, 12 degrees. So it is a great chance to head outdoors, enjoy that before the rain kicks in tonight and throughout the weekend. Again, more of those above seasonal temperatures. The normal low this time of year, -1, and then today is a low of -3. Currently, it is 8 degrees in Windsor. So again, we're talking about those warmer temperatures, and we're seeing that carry through for most of the region as well. A little bit cooler out in Kitchener and London, 6 degrees. But again, sitting where we're supposed to be with those typical seasonal temperatures, except for most of the area, a little bit above that, like we saw, 12 degrees. Now, there is a fog advisory that is in effect for some parts of Ontario. We're talking about Toronto, Peel, York, and Durham. Southern Ontario, we're talking about Windsor. It's clear, no fog in sight, but that doesn't mean that we're staying clear from the rain. Probably didn't need an umbrella today. You will need it tonight if you plan on heading out. Still got some time. And then tomorrow morning as you commute to work, we got windy days ahead as well. We could be seeing winds gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour. Tonight, temperatures will drop a little bit. We will see it drop down. We will see that rain carry through. And then again on Sunday, like I said, Saturday, a bit of a dry day, a little bit of that sunshine peeking through. Again, we're seeing that rain coming from south of the border and then gets quite heavy throughout the afternoon on Sunday. And that will carry through until Monday as well. Now, temperatures will drop tonight just a bit. We will be seeing the rain. Like I said, it will carry through into tomorrow morning as you commute to work. And then for the rest of the days, really, as we head into the weekend, we have those mild temperatures. And that's what's trending for the next few days. Tomorrow night, a little bit below seasonal, below the sub-zero mark, but still overall mild temperatures, something to look forward to. Saturday, head outdoors and enjoy it while it lasts and while it's dry.
Thanks so much for that, Dahlia.
Thanks, Katerina.
When we come back, Josiah Sinanen will join us with a look at a local woman who's just been awarded the Order of Ontario. Stay with us. The Order of Ontario was awarded to 24 appointees for the 2021 year, and among them, a Black historian and educator with pre-Confederation roots in Essex County. Elise Harding-Davis was presented the award by MPP Anthony Liardi earlier this week. And for more on this, Josiah Sinanen is here to share more of the story. Josiah, thanks for being here.
Of course.
I know that Elise spoke with Afternoon Drive about this, so what should people know about her?
Yeah, there's a lot to know about this incredible person here in Essex County. She is a great voice for the Black history here, and there has been a lot of it. Her family's actually been in the area since 1798. So she was responsible for a lot of notable feats in documenting that history, including conducting the research on Black soldiers who fought for Canada's independence in 1812. That's her book there about it. And more recently, she published The Colors of Essex County, which documents 13 African-Canadian graves right here in the county. And she also, to top it all off, helped curate the Amherstburg Freedom Museum. So an impressive dossier.
Yeah, an amazing woman.
Yes.
What inspired her commitment to all of this?
Well, this is a really interesting story. So Elise Harding-Davis shared with us on Afternoon Drive that when she grew up here as a child, those amazing stories of Black history were normal to her. She heard all the time about her family's legacy and history, and her dad made a really impressive career for himself. He was the master electrical contractor at Harding Electric, which he owned and operated. And one day when she was getting picked up from school, her little sister had just been born. She was getting picked up early. She had an encounter with a teacher who actually didn't believe that her dad was the owner of Harding Electric, despite her telling her, yes, that's true, that's my dad. So the teacher kept probing her, and she said, come on, Elise, tell me that he's really a janitor or something else. And she held her ground. So that experience stuck with her, and it made her wonder if people even believe what she's saying. So she says there's a clear gap in the education system growing up here where Black history was only negative. We talk about slavery, but on the other hand, there's so many positive contributions that could be taught. So this was almost like a duty for her to help document it and tell those different stories for generations to come, especially knowing her legacy and the fact that she was proud of it. So she says this designation will give her an elevated platform, and she hopes to continue that work. So yeah, here we have her. She's receiving the award with Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, the Honourable Elizabeth Dowdeswell. And she shares that she was excited to wear that sequin gown because it fit her like a glove, and her grandson also got the day off of school.
Oh, amazing. Well, big congratulations to her, and thank you so much, Josiah, for bringing up this story. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And that is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.